NPP loses again as Supreme Court orders its flag bearer, Nana Akufo-Addo, and co to surrender evidence in the case in which they are challenging the 2012 election results.
The day is that, by the grace of God, the request by the respondent, particularly in this case the first respondent, for further and better particulars of the claims and allegations that the petitioners have been making all along for the last 1 month, this court today granted us leave to have them respond to the several allegations that they're making. They have to provide particulars.
What does this unanimous Supreme Court decision mean for the NPP's case? We'll hear from the legal teams.
This is Top Story with Evans Mensah.
Top Story is brought to you by Bond Financial Services, your success, our passion, Belacqua Mineral Water, the new generation mineral water, as well as MyJoyOnline.com plus Lifebuoy. It's a second defeat for the NPP in the ongoing legal tussle over last year's presidential election results. Today, the party's flag bearer, Nana Akufo-Addo, and his fellow petitioners lost a surprise element in the Supreme Court case against President John Mahama and the Electoral Commission. All 9 Supreme Court judges who sat on the application ordered the NPP to essentially give up its evidence to the President and the EC. I will shortly be joined by my colleague who was in court today to tell us what reasons the judges gave for their decision. But as expected, the President's lawyers are elated about the decision. For them, it is a big deal. Listen to a member of the legal team, DADZIE.
The names and code of the allegations where they say words and figures on pink sheets do not match, they will have to provide those particulars. Absolutely. Where voting took place without biometric verification, they will have to provide particulars. Where voting took place without biometric registration, they will have to provide particulars. Where different results recorded on pink sheets with some polling station codes, same polling station codes, they have to provide. Where there were alleged to be no signatures on presiding officers, they will have to provide the particulars. The 4,709, which they've made so much noise about, they are to supply to us polling stations and code number at the alleged gross and widespread irregularities, particulars in the constituency in tabular form. Ladies and gentlemen, you realize that so many allegations have been made, and this forms the basis of their petition. Now, our case is that these do not exist, and the case is in court. The court has now granted our prayer that they should provide us with further and better particulars. That is the detail of their allegations. This is the test time. We want to get to the facts of the case. Let's get the facts, and we'll know where the truth will come from.
So the NPP and its petitioners might have lost that aspect of the case, but today they also won in another aspect, though, talking about their request that the EC should furnish them with details of those who registered and voters abroad. Well, they won that particular aspect because the Supreme Court, again unanimously, asked and directed the EC to indeed furnish Nana Akufo-Addo and the co-petitioners with those details. We will bring you details of that on Newsnight. But what reasons did the judges give for their decision to basically ask the petitioners, Nana Addo and co, to essentially give up their evidence? I'm joined by our court correspondent, Anil Sabote. He was in court today, and he give us the reasons.
Yeah, exactly. The court, like you said, by unanimous decision, they said that it was important for the petitioners to grant the EC and John Mahama their request because it will help the nature of the case. As you know, for example, they want details with respect to the allegations about 4,709 polling stations, constituencies, and regions where they believe that alleged electoral irregularities took place. So, in the spirit of fairness and in order also to avoid the element of surprise during the trial, then that will be granted. But you know, the petitioners had also maintained that they are unwilling to do that, or they were opposed to the application because they believe that the details that they will give will go to assist their case when the substantial or the main cases begins.
Did the court specify which particulars, as far as the NPP's evidence is concerned, they should given when it comes to the President and Electoral Commission?
Precisely. So on ground 1 and 2. Let's start with ground 1. For example, the allegations was that the EC permitted voting to take place in polling stations across the country without verification by the officers, contrary to Regulation 32 of CI 75. So the petitioners are required to provide evidence with respect to this particular allegation. Again, that voting took place in polling stations without biometric registration and yet were unlawfully taken into account in arriving at the final result. So it's one of the allegations and which they are required now to furnish the Electoral Commission and President Mahama with such details. Again, there were widespread instances where they believe that signatures were not signed by presiding officers, and yet the votes were declared in favor of John Mahama, and they want those results nullified. So then what it means is that they will have to furnish these two, both the first and the second respondents,
and the Electoral Commission,
with these details.
With evidence that they claim have to prove this particular allegation they've made in their case in court.
Precisely so. One check at ground 2, for example, said that the election was also that election was also vitiated or destroyed by gross and widespread irregularities and malpractice, which fundamentally affected the validity of the result that were declared in the 4,709 polling stations as declared by the EC. This is the allegation that they raised. Now the court is saying that you have raised this allegation. Now the onus now lies on you to provide the details to these two respondents.
I see. So those are the details that we have to provide today.
Precisely.
And as far as the President's own legal team is concerned, this is significant.
This is very much significant because this is essentially what they've been asking for. But you see, the point is that it's like you win some, you lose some today in the court. So it's like everybody went home with something. Yeah, exactly.
And if you stay with us on news, I will tell you what the NPP went home with that they might be smiling about as far as this case is concerned. Very intriguing, fascinating details. I know, Sabute, thank you very much. Now, let's speak to DADZIE. He is a member of the President's legal team. Thank you, sir, for your time here on Top Story. Now, the NPP believes that today's ruling, put it simply, is much ado about nothing. But you believe this is significant for your case. How so?
Yes, this is a very important material day because today it's like the President's position has been that everything went right and he was duly elected. Now, the NPP or Nana Addo's position has been that the election was flawed. Now, the question is, where did this happen? In the 26,000 polling stations, they are contesting initially 4,709, then raised it to 11,000 plus. But it's within the realm of 26,000 polling stations. That's a huge number indeed. So where are these places? This is the position that we've pushed all along in court, and today the court directed that we should be supplied with the particulars in respect of those places where voting took place without biometric verification or without biometric registration, or like they said, where the 1.3 million votes were said to have been, they want them annulled. And there were claims also that there were areas where the president's votes were illegally padded. I mean, these are all claims that they made. But now they will have to provide particulars. And it is important stage at this stage of the trial.
Thankfully, we've been joined by your colleague on the other side. So kindly stay on the line for me. Madam Gloria AKUFFO just joined us. Thank you very much, Madam, for your time here on Top Story. This is a setback, isn't it? Essentially, you are being forced to give up parts of your evidence.
Well, I think that I ought to make a clarification. I think that your report, especially at 5 o'clock, that Nana Addo AKUFFO and his colleagues have been asked to furnish the respondents with all the evidence. Unfortunately, it's inaccurate and it's misleading. What is the position is that the court granted the application to the first respondents, that is Mr. John Mahama and the Electoral Commission in part, and therefore denied their request in part. Your correspondent in court would have heard that the court enumerated the paragraphs by which the requests were being made and indicate which ones were granted and which ones were denied. It is not possible for me at this time to give you the details, but as soon as we get the certified true copy, we shall put it out for the general public to know exactly what happened in court.
So essentially,
as far as we are concerned, the court agreed that we should provide generally the code numbers, the constituencies, the code numbers of the polling stations, the constituencies, and the regions of the polling stations about which we had complaints.
But let me...
Please, let me finish. In substance, this was the import of the decision of the court. And therefore to say that we have been asked to furnish them with evidence as they have asked for is inaccurate.
Okay. Not to DADZIE, is that your understanding of what happened in court today?
Is that your understanding of what happened in court today? Is that your understanding of what happened in court today? Well, I think so. It's unfortunate that my friend is indicating that my position is misleading. He comes back to reaffirm it.
I didn't say, Mr. DADZIE, I never said that your position is misleading.
If you hold on, I think she was... Okay, briefly, gentleman and lady. What Madam Gloria AKUFFO said was in reference to a story she had heard we carry at 5 p.m. That's what she was responding to. So not necessarily to DADZIE's comments, but I'm sure that you heard a submission of what happened in court today. If you give me your take on whether that's exactly what happened.
Yes, I'm saying. The court had before it a couple of applications. And the Nanadu and his team were interested in external votes, who voted where and what not. The court said they should be granted that. They should be given that information. But for whatever it is worth, if they are interested in the academic thing about how many people voted all the time, they are entitled to that. But the core issue of the alleged irregularities which occurred in this country, where the actual voting took place, the question was by the president to his solicitors, where did these irregularities take place? And I've detailed to you some of the areas in which the questions reflected, and in which the court today directed that the Nanado and his team, or the petitioners, should give explanation. For instance, if they say 4,709 police stations, now 11,000, where widespread irregularities took place, they were supposed to provide names and codes of police stations where this happened, where they claim that votes were reduced from Lanado's total. They were expected to, as it were, provide further and better particulars, So all the claims and allegations they made for the last 1 month, and they were set out in their, in their petition, and in generality, the court agreed with us that they must provide further and better particulars.
Okay, let me bring in
to help the court.
Let me bring in Madam AKUFFO. You heard him say all the allegations you've made, the court says bring better and particulars. As far as you're concerned, I don't know if Madam Gloria AKUFFO is on the line with me. Hello. Oh, unfortunately, we're having some difficulty with the line. Let's hope that it's better if you can reposition yourself again. Yes, you were answering the question about his submission that all the allegations you've made. The court today indeed asks that you provide them with specific, better particulars as regard all those allegations you've made. Okay. Okay. We will have to call you back because we're having challenges with the line. Quickly, last question to Mr. Nanato Dadzie. Will this make your case any easier?
Well, it will definitely make the case easier for all of us in this country. If allegations are thrown out, we may take a very long time calling all the witnesses, 4,800 or 11,000, whatever. But if the court pushes the burden back onto the petitioners where it belongs to provide further and better particulars, and they fail to disclose in material terms, then the case is dead. You get me? So really, it is for them to come and move up and set out in detail the particulars for everybody to know. But again, I mean, we are in court, so it's a court final decision that will be respected by all of us. But then the challenge is on them. And it's a normal challenge because he who alleges must prove.
Okay.
You are making allegations.
Okay, thankfully.
And claims that the victory that was awarded the president by the Electoral Commission.
Mr. Tudors, I will have to say a big thank you to you because I need to bring back Madam GLORIA AKUFFO because she went off the line because the line wasn't that great. I want to give her the final word on this to respond to some of the things that you had said. Madam AKUFFO? Hello? Can you hear me?
Hello?
Yes, I can hear you now. Yes, your line is better. You were responding to some of the issues that were put out by Mr. Nanato Dadzie.
First of all, I need to say it. I never said that was misleading. I tell of joy, that and his condition that for is to the extent that
okay, we are having challenges with that line. I can't just hear. I can't just. Okay, we need to end it here because I can't hear what the submission is because of the line. The lines are pretty difficult. You can't exactly hear what she's saying. But you want to join us on Newsnight because there's another angle to this particular story. You heard me say at the beginning, and Madam GLORIA AKUFFO alluded to it, because Day Today also had some sort of a victory because the court also, in deciding that they should bring their particulars and furnish the president and the EC with them, also agreed that the Electoral Commission must also in turn also furnish the petitioners. I'm talking about Nanato and his fellow petitioners with also some details as far as those who registered and voters in the diaspora is concerned. We'll bring you those details as well and get you some analysis what this means for both teams and their cases. This is Top Stories, brought to you by Bond Financial Services, your success, our passion, Belacra Mineral Water, New Generation Mineral Water, and Live Boy, as well as my joy online.com. My name is Evans Mensah.